the national and county levels of government, and the need to enhance the interaction between the Senate and the county governments as a means of bringing the Senate closer to the counties and the general public, acknowledging the success made during the sittings of the Senate outside Nairobi, held in Uasin Gishu, Kitui, and Turkana counties in September 2018, 2019, and 2023, respectively. Further acknowledging the recommendation of the Senate Business Committee that a sitting of the Senate be held away from the traditional premises in Parliament buildings, Nairobi, during the term of the 13th Parliament, and the subsequent resolution of the Senate made on the 8th of March 2023 to hold plenary and committee sittings in counties for a one-week period within the month of September in every session of the 4th Senate, except during an election year, with the objective to, 1, promote the role and work of the Senate and enhance public awareness regarding the business of the Senate and Parliament in general. 2, highlight existing and new opportunities for engagement in the legislative process. 3, develop and strengthen partnerships at the county level of government. And 4, provide an opportunity to members and staff of county assemblies to learn and share best practices with senators and parliamentary officers. Now, therefore, pursuant to Article 126(1) of the Constitution, the Senate resolves to hold its plenary and committee sittings in Busia County from the 23rd to the 27th of September 2024. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 10, motion, report of the Select Committee on Delegated Legislation on its consideration of the Social Health Insurance General Regulations 2024 and the Social Health Insurance Tribunal Procedure Rules 2024 division.
We'll defer this order. So we'll proceed to the next order.
Order number 11, the Houses of Parliament Bicameral Relations Bill, National Assembly Bills number 44 of 2023, division.
That particular order is also deferred. Next order.
Order number 12, the Public Finance Management Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 40 of 2023, division.
That order is also deferred. Next order.
Order number 13, the Constitution of Kenya Amendment number 2 Bill, Senate Bills number 52 of 2023, second reading.
Now, I see two names of honorable senators. I want to be persuaded that they want to contribute to this motion. If not, then kindly log out so that we know exactly how we are transacting this order. That order is deferred. Proceed to the next order. Next order, Clerk.
Order number 14, the Heritage and Museums Bill, Senate Bills number 8 of 2023, second reading.
The Chairperson, Standing Committee on Labour and Social Welfare. That order is deferred. Next order, Clerk.
Order number 15, the Agriculture and Food Authority Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 13 of 2023, second reading.
Honorable Senator James Murango, the Chairperson, Standing Committee on Agriculture. That order is deferred. Next order.
Order number 16, the County Hall of Fame Bill, Senate Bills number 18 of 2023, second reading.
The Honorable Senator Miraj Abdullahi Abdurrahman. That order is deferred. Next order.
Order number 17, the Rice Bill, Senate Bills number 19 of 2023, second reading.
Senator James Morango, the Chairperson, Standing Committee on Agriculture. That order is deferred. Next order.
Order number 18, the Law of Succession Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 20 of 2023, second reading.
The Honorable Senator Veronica Maina. That order is deferred. Next order, Clerk.
Order number 19, the Public Holidays Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 31 of 2023, second reading.
Senator Karungo Thangwa to move. That order is deferred. Next order.
Order number 20, the County Assembly Services Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 34 of 2023, second reading.
Senator Mohamed Chute. That order is deferred. Next order.
Order number 21, the County Public Finance Laws Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 39 of 2023, second reading.
The Honorable Senator Kathuri Murungi. That order is deferred. Next order.
Order number 22, the Street Vendors Protection of Livelihood Bill, Senate Bills number 41 of 2023, second reading.
Yes, Senator Mungatana, what is your intervention?
Sorry, Mr. Speaker, I beg your pardon because I was misreading that it was the one for Senator Okenyuri, and I thought you had mentioned Kaduri. So I was just wanted to bring to your attention. I apologize, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Esther Okenyuri.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. I'm the sponsor of the Street Vendors Bill, that's widely known as the Protection of Livelihood Bill of the Senate, number 41 of 2023. Mr. Speaker, this bill was actually widely also given a lot of attention with the Senate Trade Committee, whereby I serve as the vice chair of that committee. Mr. Speaker, the Street Vendors Bill seeks to provide a framework.
Senator Esther Okenyuri, you first need to move, and then you put your justification on the bill.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move the Street Vendors Bill be read for the second time. So allow me to proceed. Mr. Speaker, the Street Vendors Bill is actually an act of parliament that seeks to provide a framework on how street vending should actually happen in this country, and with a lot of preference to our county governments, because this is an issue that touches on counties also. Mr. Speaker, the bill also argues that small-scale trade contributes significantly to this country's economy, and largely as the hustlers, as we called them during our campaign period, Mr. Speaker. So this is a bill that puts their interests at the front line, Mr. Speaker, because these are the people who largely contribute to our economy. In Nairobi, Mr. Speaker, if you walk this afternoon, you'll one way or in another meet a street vendor. They are either selling small items as biro pens, others are selling food items, others are doing music, Mr. Speaker, and we also even have others who are doing stuff like shows of magic, whereby people can watch and pay. Mr. Speaker, in other developed democracies, street vending is a huge thing, and there are actually designated places where they actually do their vending. Mr. Speaker, the last time, if you remember, when we went with you on a Powers and Privileges Committee visit to Turkey, I had an opportunity to visit some of the vending zones that had been set aside for street vendors, and I was impressed to see the levels of hygiene in those areas, and I compared that to my country back here, and I felt we surely need to have a very organized way and dignified way that our street vendors can make money for themselves and for our county government and national government, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, street vending has largely been looked at as a very small business. This is not a small business as people look at it. This is a huge sector, because when you look at it, those are the ones who are running this economy, Mr. Speaker. We do not have them having huge money that they are putting in this sector, but whatever little they are putting together is what is enabling this economy run. Mr. Speaker, I also want to mention that in the recent past, we've seen headlines of how street vendors have been handled badly in this country. And I want to mention the county government of Nairobi. We saw some time back a disabled lady, I think in Embakasi, who was selling eggs, and the eggs were actually thrown away, and the lady also carried away with her wheelchair, Mr. Speaker. We shouldn't be witnessing such kind of harassment to people who are contributing to this economy. Instead, we need to look at how better to place them so that they do their business in a dignified manner, so that it's also even easy for the county government and national government to collect tax from this kind of businesses. Mr. Speaker, another reason why we need to have street vending have designated areas, so that we have order, we restore order in the cities. Look at the city of Kisumu, look at the city of Nairobi, look at the city of Mombasa. We want, when we have visitors coming in, or those who are coming from the rural areas, can have a clean city, Mr. Speaker. This can only happen when we have a joint effort to the stakeholders in this sector and the government, so that the street vendors don't look at this bill as one that is curtailing their business, but look at it as one that is making them do business easily. Mr. Speaker, when I was actually coming up with this, we had an opportunity to have most of their organizations come to the table and present what they felt needed to be accommodated by this legislative proposal, and we took up most of the suggestions that were brought up by the street vendors. And I'm also looking forward that we are going to have political goodwill, especially from the county government. Mr. Speaker, look at a county like Busia. A county like Busia has street vendors from the Kenyan side and from the Ugandan side. So we have to coexist in a manner that the Kenyan vendors are making money, and in the spirit of good neighborhood, the ones on the Ugandan side are also contributing to this economy, but also watch out to avoid exploitation, especially for our local vendors who are doing business, Mr. Speaker. And this case also applies for the ones who are down in Namanga, bordering Tanzania on the other side, Mr. Speaker. You clearly see why we now need these regulations, so that internally we have a way of doing business, and we also have a way of doing business with our neighbors without one party taking advantage of the other party, Mr. Speaker. Street vending is not just about the ones who are selling small items. I actually mentioned right now we have young people who play guitar on the street. If you go to Mamangina Street, you'll see young people who are playing very nice music with their guitar. This is also a way of informal trading, but then they are doing it basing on the talents they have. So it's not just about objects or items that you can carry. It's about also providing a service and make money out of that service that you're offering to the public. And mostly we are seeing that in form of entertainment, Mr. Speaker. So this is a timely bill that I need support from this House, Mr. Speaker, so that we provide a conducive environment for our young people, for our women, for our men who want to better their livelihood by putting something in their pocket, and at the same time assist the government in generating revenue that will go a large mile in financing what activities we have in place, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if I also mention, in other countries, when you look at how they are handling generally the issue of informal trading, is completely different. And it's because in those countries they had an opportunity to make laws way earlier. So when someone is coming into a business, they already know what is required. Even you who's building stalls to provide an avenue for people who want to engage in formal trading, you will design the stalls in a manner that follows what the law prescribes, Mr. Speaker. But when you look at our case here and want to place emphasis on counties, counties will quickly want to tax people who are selling on the roadside. Let's say women who are selling vegetables, men who are selling groundnuts. You can't tax people when you do not provide a conducive environment for them to thrive in their business, Mr. Speaker. It would be a very good idea when a county government has provided a designated area for men who are selling groundnuts, so that they are selling their items in a comfortable way, in a clean environment, with security, so they will not even feel the pinch when they are contributing to the economy through taxing. But when you tax people and they cannot see the value of the money you're taxing them, then you are likely to face resistance when you are coming to introduce these regulations, Mr. Speaker. So it's my hope that the 47 county governments will actually cooperate, and there was already goodwill because the chair of the COG Trade, Governor Utuoma, the governor for Busia, when we were collecting views from the different stakeholders, COG were among the ones who brought their views, and that was a good show of political goodwill. But then enforcement is one issue that I know we are going to witness challenges, because already in other different towns, strategic planning was done in the 1960s and 70s, which does not tally with the recent developments we have currently, Mr. Speaker. So this legislative proposal is very timely, and it accommodates all people from all walks of life who want to do any informal kind of trading and make money, than engage in other activities that we are discouraging the general public from engaging in. especially the young people. As a young person, I know how difficult it is to still go to school, have academic qualification, but still lack something to put in your pocket. Mr. Speaker, so street vending is not just about the ones who walk around the bus stations selling whatever items they have, but it also accommodates the ones who have any other kinds of informal trading. And that's why this legislative proposal seeks to recognize, because there are kind of activities that are currently being carried out and not formally recognized in our systems. The moment a business is recognized, you are equally able to even benefit from what the SACCOs are issuing in form of loans, what the government is issuing to assist those who are trading. But when you're not in an organized manner, it actually even becomes very difficult for you to seek support to broaden your business, Mr. Speaker. The other issue is about our authorities. Our authorities, there's a bill here we dealt with, especially on county licensing. We are looking at authorities that will be having many businesses to get money from. But my plea is that these authorities should not treat the traders in a punitive manner, because we look forward to encouraging these traders to actually do well in whatever areas they are engaging in. So the moment you want to punish innocent citizens who have no idea on what already is expected of them, we are going to discourage them from engaging in business, Mr. Speaker. Initially in this country, we've seen different administrations in our then local councils, the defunct councils we had. Defunct councils had a challenge even moving the traders from one point and relocating them to another point. And we are still experiencing the same challenge, Mr. Speaker. So this bill will actually provide for a structured way of moving traders from one point to their designated areas. When this is actually done, it even makes it easier for you to look for what you want. If you want maybe to purchase certain kind of baby items, you know where to go and get them, Mr. Speaker. I also saw this arrangement when I traveled to Dubai. Street vending happens even late in the night. Why? Because security is provided for those businesses. And those businesses have no problem with paying taxes because they have security, there is water, there is sanitation. So people are comfortably doing their businesses without little challenges here and there that we are currently facing in third world countries like Kenya, Mr. Speaker. So I really feel this House needs to support me in seeing this get to fruition, Mr. Speaker. In my own county of origin, Mr. Speaker, we have several women who sell vegetables on the roadside. They have not been able to move to the market because we do not have a structured way of accommodating them in those markets. Like I said, strategic planning for different towns was done way back in those years, and we need to readjust to accommodate such kind of people who are engaging in business currently. Mr. Speaker, all this that we are suggesting is not a new thing. We, all of us, want to align to sustainable development goals. In different countries across the world, informal trading is not a new thing. It's only that in Kenya we now want to put this into law so that we do not have people who are informal trading being harassed. Every other time I watch the news, I read statistics and stories of very sad cases of where women who are coming all the way from Mlolongo coming to sell their product in Nairobi, sometimes end up with their products being confiscated all together. Mr. Speaker, we do not want, why would you confiscate someone's items, still subject them to arrest, and eventually destroy those items? Once you arrest someone who is actually engaging in such kind of trade, if they have already been penalized, don't go ahead and destroy their property, Mr. Speaker. Our mantra as the Kenya Kwanza government was to dignify the work that people are doing. The moment you want to treat people in that manner, you are already doing the opposite of what we anticipate, Mr. Speaker. And I want to urge the young people across this country to acquaint themselves with this legislative proposal. I might not be in a position to visit all those areas and see the different small trading that you engage in. But by me representing you with this proposal in this House, I believe it will go a long way in assisting so many other people who will come after us, Mr. Speaker. So this is a timely bill, and I want to conclude by saying that there are so many other aspects I might not have touched on. We have done even, I went ahead to do a comparative analysis of what is happening in other countries, why this, that kind of having small trading areas set aside works better, why it's not working better in those countries, what have they done to better that kind of trade. Mr. Speaker, like if I mention, we largely talk about Singapore having done very well, Mr. Speaker. Singapore has more than, by the time they were in the late 1960s, Mr. Speaker, they had more than 24,000 street hawkers out of a population of 2 million. Currently, I know that must have grown. Mr. Speaker, in Kenya, the percentages are very high. You cannot bury your head in the sand and say we do not have such kind of traders. Even when you're on traffic, you have someone who's trying to sell you a wall hanging. You have someone who's trying to sell you some flowers to put in your flower vases in the house. Mr. Speaker, that's the kind of businesses we want to harness and put in a structured format so that they can equally make money for themselves and also contribute effectively to this economy, Mr. Speaker. And I know this will actually open a wide area for county governments to make money that is contributing to their own sources of revenue, which is one thing I've been largely encouraging the county chiefs, Mr. Speaker. The county chiefs, I am always encouraging them to look for ways of beefing their own sources of revenue. Instead of waiting for what the national government is going to allocate to them, own sources of revenue will actually open up ways of sorting out the different bills they have, Mr. Speaker. So the moment we structure this kind of businesses in the different counties, I want to believe, Mr. Speaker, that we are going to raise more revenue to developers as a country and as the different county governments that we have, Mr. Speaker, so that we do not have the discussion we had recently of wanting to point an image of devolution not working. We have actually had different visits, Mr. Speaker, first in the Trade Committee, where these ideas originated from, and we've seen businesses working. We've seen what it is like when you support such kind of small-scale business people to venture in their different areas best, Mr. Speaker. So the moment we see such working, we shouldn't encourage the discussion of devolution not working. it's only not working in those small areas that have turned out to be corrupt, Mr. Speaker. And I know we are now in agreement that we want to drain the swamp, Mr. Speaker. And draining the swamp begins from the Senate, Mr. Speaker. I have always said this Senate must bite, Mr. Speaker. Let us not look like we are a house of lamentations, Mr. Speaker. So as I actually take my seat, this is a bill that needs our support jointly, Mr. Speaker. Decisions we as a Senate make are life and death decisions, and that's why it's very important for us to spare a moment and accommodate proposals that originate from different angles, Mr. Speaker, because business, same as academic work, actually does not know if you're rich or poor. You are trying to have something in your pocket so that you can survive the next day, Mr. Speaker. So thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to stop my contribution at that point.
So who is your seconder?
Mr. Speaker, I'm very happy to see my chair is in the chamber, the Senator for Kajiado, Senator Seki. I want to welcome him to second this bill.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and I take this opportunity to second this important bill on the Street Vendors and Protection Livelihood Bill, Bill number of 2023. And I want to say that, Honorable Speaker, this bill has come the right time when we are in the position where we are still on the area where we have county governments, and the devolution is underway, where counties are making progresses in different aspects, particularly on issues where we want to say that the common mwananchi is struggling through the MSMEs and small businesses, Jua Kali sector, people from different sectors, particularly on business, small businesses, are struggling in our street, in our towns, to make food at the table, to put that food at the table. Honorable Speaker, we deliberated as a committee on this bill, and we invited quite a number of stakeholders, including the street vendors, small business enterprises, Jua Kali sector, and quite a number of other business enterprises. And we deliberate on the bill quite well. And we want to say that, I want to say on the onset that this bill has touched quite a number of areas on issues of the way on how businesses, the counties, municipalities will also handle the small, medium people or even businesses in our counties. Honorable Speaker, at the clause 4, we found that it is good that we give the Cabinet Secretary to have one database of the entire country to all the businesses in the county, particularly the vendors in the country. And this will be liaison with county governments, which are more in touch in the county governments, particularly in our streets, in our businesses, in our towns. And that clause tries to explain on how the movement of businesses will be taken care of, so that the database can be kept by the ministry in the entire country, but more with the liaison of the county governments. Section part 3 of the bill, we were looking at it at the area where we bring the designation of vending zones. We look at it like to designate the vending zones is a very important aspect, which we normally, in fact, it is not there in most of our counties, in most of our big towns, municipalities, most of the big municipalities like Nairobi, Eldoret, Mombasa, Kisumu, and many other municipalities that we do have. Honorable Speaker, this is where, and I think it is something that Honorable Senator Hazy has tried to put it very clearly, that we have done quite a number of research in other counties, in other countries, and we found that it is good that we have to define the restrictions of free areas where we categorize free zones. We brought in the issue of restricted vending zones and non-vending zones. These are important aspects in this. These are areas of importance in this bill. Honorable Speaker, we further went down to this bill further went down to bring the sanity in areas of planning of our towns, and to explain on how, where is suited, or which area is suited for vending, which one is not important due to population, due to density, the area which are density populated. And this bill will help the common mwananchi and even the movement of people, because you realize that in most of the towns, it is hardly for us to get even people getting even out of town. There are a lot of congestion of peoples and even vehicles, just because you just find somewhere, you put your items on the ground and you start selling. Other people are even selling outside. They go out and even just place their goods and services, or even goods in outside their door shops. So that is where this bill tries to protect, to try to protect the interest of those people also who have businesses in their shops. So I think it's a very important bill. And Honorable Speaker, this in section there is a way where we also looked at how the vendors will be protected, and the rights of a vendor is designed in a way that county government officials or county askaris or officers from the ministry, from the county, will not just decide to vandalize or even take out the vendors' goods because they have not paid the fee for the county. This bill tries to protect even the vendor. So with this bill, I think it is a win-win situation where the county government will have the sanity on how to do their things, plan their towns, and also protect the protection of a vendor, a businessman, a business person, a business, small enterprise that is coming up. Because we have seen quite a number of, officers or even business people losing their properties. People, the business people losing their goods through askaris coming to, pick them, even sometimes harassment of business people. This bill tries to protect the vendors. So, and the hawkers will really see the hope of or the light on the tunnel, because this bill tries to protect all this. So, Honorable Speaker, I want to support this bill. I want to say that this is the right time where county governments will be in the right track, and it will also give county governments and county assembly a chance to do more regulations on how to implement these restrictions, particularly on how it will suit the issues of planning in their counties. So I don't want to take much of the time and give more other members to deliberate and even discuss on this bill, but I want to say that this is a very important bill to the counties, and it will go hand in hand with the bill that the same committee has approved some times back, and I'm happy that it was even there this afternoon, the county licensing bill, which has been, in fact, act now, because it has been assented by the President, and this bill will definitely go hand in hand with that bill. So, Honorable Speaker, I want to second. Thank you very much.
Honorable Senators, I will now proceed to propose the question that the Street Vendors Protection of Livelihood Bill, Senate Bills number 41 of 2023, be now read a second time. Senator Tabitha.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I do rise to support the Street Vendors Bill 2023 by Senator Esi, and I want to really congratulate her for taking her time and walking the journey with this great bill. And I keep on saying, do not forget where you've come from, because Senator Esi has given her story, her journey, and this is an indication that she has not forgotten where she's come from, in terms of ensuring that you remember also the other people, because this bill touches mostly on the small-scale business people, and much more specific, actually, on them having, an environment that is suitable for them to be able to conduct business. Mr. Speaker, apparently, today we seem to be few, and so I was seated actually to Senator Esi, next to Senator Esi earlier, as you're calling the owners of the other bills, and I'm so proud of her because as the others were absent, she still said she was ready. She's always ready. A good indication for the kind of young leaders that we have, and they are always prepared. And she has taken us through. I've also perused through the same bill. I've looked at some of the clauses, case example, clause 5 of the bill, Mr. Speaker, which talked about a vending license under the section shall include the following: the applicant's name, the type of license, the vending location, the contact of the applicant's type of goods and services to be sold, the type and date of vending activities where applicable, time of... In short, it includes a lot of details that are very important, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we've been having illegal vending of vendors, selling illegal goods. And so without this particular data, as it has been indicated in clause 5, then it becomes difficult to be able to have a reference point of who was the vendor, where they are located. And also without this information, then also people evade to make or pay their dues as required. Allow me to narrow it, Mr. Speaker, as far as the county of Nairobi is concerned. Earlier last year, I had received some complaints from the people of South B and South C on unscrupulous vendors who've decided to put their goods, and this, to be more specific, these are the construction items, the sand, the ballast, outside people's gates, within the courts, within the estates. And people have decided to start selling and merchandising sand and ballast, among other hardware materials, something that really disturbed the people of South B and South C, issues that I was also able to raise through the Nairobi County as to why these people had the confidence to, just come and disrupt the well-organized estate structures and start setting, and putting their merchandise out there without the consent of the other estate dwellers. So with this type of bill, with this street vendors bill, Mr. Speaker, and as I've also deeply looked at it, it's going to set aside. Clause 4 talks about a proposed vending zone plan by the county. So if the county is going to adhere and ensure they set aside the zones and license as per the zones, we will not be having where people are waking up and deciding to set structures anyhow, anywhere in these different counties. There will be a plan. There will be a better structure and strategy on ensuring that there is adequate space, there is adequate room. There is also an organized marketplace whereby people are able to specifically know that in this particular area, they can be able to get the merchandise or the services they actually do need, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, looking at where we are with the political temperatures, also our young people, the Gen Z, who've come out and they're very, as I said earlier, they're very informed, very well articulative of their issues. They're very innovative, Mr. Speaker, and it is through such organized vending processes that our young people will be able also to get equal opportunities and be able to have an environment when the county adheres to this particular bill, be able to set spaces for them. I heard the Senator AC talk about vending environments and spaces that will consider people with disability, will consider women, will also consider more specifically the young people, and they can be able to showcase their very skillful talents and their very products that they've been able to come up with because they've been given an opportunity and an environment that is able to help them enhance and grow their concepts, their businesses, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I've traveled here and there, and I've also come across whereby in other countries we've seen people having what we call the monthly showcase, especially when it comes to a specific product. Case example, the food industry. We have what we call the vendors, showcasing their different culture or ways of offering a service or a product. And case example with the food industry, you find that, Mr. Speaker, people are able to showcase variety. It is more cultural. There's also the business perspective. There's also the know-how of something different that maybe someone has not come across. But through this street vendor, through this bill, there can also be room whereby the counties themselves set specific days that the people are able to showcase different products. It could be a product. It can also be a service within the street for free, so that they also enhance their market. They do the marketing. They also showcase and give samples for the different products at a very minimal cost, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in this bill, I've seen the issue of the license fee, and I would want to say that some of the challenges that are there is in regards to how much vendors need to pay. There needs to be, if the senator would introduce whereby when this is set, the first 3 months or the first 6 months, or within a duration, this can encourage startup vendors whose capital is at a minimal level or at a minimal amount, so that they reduce on their cost by giving them an opportunity to be able to be encouraged with what they've been able to conceptualize, which they've also been able to innovate, for them to have a space that in the first 3 months, 4 months, there's room for free vending at no cost. This will be able to encourage even our young people, whereby raising capital is a challenge. We know the market rates, the banking interest rates are very high. There's also the issues of collateral when you want to do startups. And with ensuring that what the county can do by removing this cost within a given time, it will be able to encourage the young people and even any startup that one wants to or needs to start, Mr. Speaker. I've also seen in the bill that, we have situations whereby during expansions of roads or expansion of any construction or anything that needs to be done, the vendors are normally pushed away. But with this bill and with the guidance of the county zoning these particular areas, then there will be smooth futuristic planning of the different vendors, since then they need not to worry of when the authorities will come and ask them to be able to move aside for more development. They can be able to set up with the confidence of the future. Part 4, Mr. Speaker, talks about registration and licensing of street vendors. Article 15(2)(a) talks about for the purposes of subsection, the county executive shall provide a physical and an online submission of application for registration by the vendors. B, maintain an up-to-date online registry. Mr. Speaker, what attracts me here is a digital aspect. And as I've always said, as a digital ambassador for ICDL, Mr. Speaker, I always advocate for things to be digital. The government has also been steering the digital hubs through the Ministry of ICT. And seeing a bill whereby the digital factor is also considered, registration being online, that's where we are. That's what we need to embrace. This definitely will cut unnecessary cost. You just need your gadget, you just need to dial the number that you need, and you are able to input your details there. You are able to get your license online with minimal movements, and this is where this is where we are today, Mr. Speaker. So I really do appreciate Senator AC with this bill and do really support, because as a business person, this is then what encourages the small micro entrepreneurs to be able to be confident to set up their businesses in an environment that is very, very suitable. With those many and few remarks, I do support, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Tabitha, for your contribution to this important bill. I now invite Senator Mogatana Buya Danson to also have his contributions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, many years ago, when we were younger and we were in the university, and as students of law, we were required to buy shirts for purposes of the moot court. Moot court is where we do these presentations in competitions, and you are able to showcase what you have been learning in a practical setup. The law students are meant to do defense of their clients and so on. So, Mr. Speaker, I went to buy a shirt from one of the vendors. You know, all of us were dressing in mitumbas those days, Mr. Speaker. That's what we could afford. So you have this guy telling you male kwa male, male kwa male, male kwa male. He says this is a clean, nice shirt. And it was in the evening, it was as usual, last minute purchase because you wanted to comply with what you've been told tomorrow. Then in the morning you wake up, you see the shirt is actually not a white shirt, Mr. Speaker. And you try to go and trace that vendor, Mr. Speaker, you will never be able to trace him. And I'm not the only one, Mr. Speaker. Many people have been sold watches that turn out not to be watches. Other people have been sold mobile phones that turn out to be toys. Mr. Speaker, all of us have gone through these experiences in one way or the other. So, Mr. Speaker, this law is a good law because this law is saying we want to regulate this trade. In many countries, Mr. Speaker, a hawker or a street vendor would be wearing a registration. So you know from his registration that you can trace him. He's wearing something on his collar that says, I've been licensed by Nairobi City Council or Nairobi City government to do selling of toys, selling of handkerchiefs, and they're able to be traced and they're able to be regulated. Mr. Speaker, many students who finish university and are not able to secure formal jobs have gone to do this type of business. And Mr. Speaker, some very prominent businessmen also started by selling sweets in the streets, and then they went on to graduate to other things, opened supermarkets, opened very important commercial enterprises that we are proud of nowadays. So, Mr. Speaker, this law is a kind of law that we welcome. And I support the fact that there is a need for regulating the work, and this is work that people do in the streets. And the idea is to create confidence that if I am buying a belt from this gentleman is registered. This gentleman has this number on his registration. So I know if he's selling me a bad belt, I will be able to trace him. If he's selling me goods that are not proper, then I'm able to get a relief. So, Mr. Speaker, this is a very beautiful development. And my take is that we have to give more role to the county governments. The county governments are the ones who basically, even before the new constitution came, they used to deal with matters to do with markets and street vending. So we need, without going too much into controlling what they do, we need to have this framework, as we have said. And this framework will give county governments, such as the county government of Tana River, the ability to do the right things with these young men and young women who are doing street jobs. These people need to be given proper identification. They need to be known by the county government, to be given proper respect, even their organizations to be recognized by the county, and Mr. Speaker, to be supported so that areas which, like this law suggests, are designated for this kind of goods, then the county government is able to set out those areas so that people are able to do work with dignity. Every job in this country is a dignified job, and this street vending is also one of those jobs that this law seeks to dignify. Mr. Speaker, we do not want a situation where county askaris, they come and find you, you are selling your sweets near the bus stop, and they chase you away. And yet you have registered properly. We want respect, Mr. Speaker. We don't want a situation where disabled hawkers are mistreated by county governments, county inspectorate. This law, Mr. Speaker, will give that respectability that is required for any person who is doing the business or the work of vending. Mr. Speaker, when we have this law, it is also going to be easier for the county governments and even the national governments where necessary to deal with issues that can arise. Mr. Speaker, I remember in Zambia, not so long ago, there was a cholera outbreak in Lusaka, in some parts of Lusaka. And so the hawkers were told, you cannot trade, you cannot do this business. Now, Mr. Speaker, if we have people within a database, county government knows in this area, we know so and so operates around this area. In this street, we know so and so operates around this. If we have health risks, Mr. Speaker, it is very easy to talk to these people and tell them, in the entire of this area, you cannot operate, but we can agree that you move to the other side of the county where you can do your business on the other side and not this other side. So that even for purposes of public safety, Mr. Speaker, we are able to control and give dignity and confidence to the people who do this kind of business. Mr. Speaker, we have had a very strong expression of the fact that our young people want space. They want space in this economy. And I've said before, and I will say it again, that what our young people are doing, they are looking for economic liberation, which is the third liberation. And they're looking at questions and answers within our economy. How is our economy providing for us? How is it doing? So, Mr. Speaker, creating all these opportunities through a legal framework, it helps to expand the areas in which we can deal with the bulging problem of unemployment. Mr. Speaker, street vending is an old trade, Mr. Speaker, and it has evolved over time. Some time ago, people used to use carts. Nowadays, Mr. Speaker, people not only walk from place to place, but they also vend their services using the internet, using apps from various internet solutions. So, Mr. Speaker, it's critical for us to have database for the safety of the people, safety of the public from where we come from, and also to give the public confidence that the person they are dealing with is a registered person, is a person who is paying tax, is a person who can be traced, that when he tells you this hat, this belt, this whatever is good, then you can purchase without having the worry that maybe you're losing your money to some unregistered fellows. Mr. Speaker, we support this law because it is a good law, and it is a kind of law that is dealing with the lowest of the law, people who are getting into the world, people who have finished schooling and they are getting into the world, they are getting started, people who have ambitions to do certain things. And maybe they may not have the money to start the hardware, but they are working with their padlocks, they are working with their screwdrivers and so on. Maybe this person in another 5 years is going to be operating his hardware. We are giving dignity to this kind of employment that is all over our towns in this country. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to congratulate the Honorable Senator Okenyuri for thinking about this, because it is a good thing to support and formalize the informal sector, which has employed so many more people than even the ones who are employed in the formal sector. Mr. Speaker, I pray that every senator who will speak to this, Mr. Speaker, will give their support, and I personally support it and congratulate the Honorable Senator. Mr. Speaker, I beg to support. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Mungatana. Senator Manzo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to contribute into this very important law. Mr. Speaker, this law, although prepared months ago, Senator Eze seems to have been thinking and to have been knowing what is happening to many young people in this country. Mr. Speaker, in the country, the government cannot hire everybody. Not all young people or young graduates or people who have been to school can be hired by the counties nor the national government. And therefore, there was need, Mr. Speaker, for job creation. And this is one way of people beginning small businesses and growing them into big-time international businesses. Mr. Speaker, this country is entoured with youths who are very intelligent, who are computer savvy, who have embraced ICT, who have been well-schooled, and many of them have no opportunity to ever have work experience other than starting their own businesses. So street vending, as my good friend Senator Mungatana said, is all over the world. You will find it in New York, you'll find it in Washington, D.C., you'll find it in London, you'll find it in China, Beijing. Everywhere in the world, there is street vending. But it is done in such an organized manner. If you see the food kiosks in Washington, D.C., they are very clean, they are on the streets, and the people eat fairly cheap food there. And you can find even all manner of dishes from all over the world. If you want pilau, you can find it there. If you want some different cultures, delicacies, you find them in the streets of Washington. You will not find any litter around that, so the environment is kept clean. And you needed a regulation to regulate that. When you come to the African experience, it's fairly chaotic. People have to learn not to throw bottles outside a matatu or paper, where you have eaten the sweets, you throw it through the window of matatu, and no one cares about it. It's a high time we developed a culture of cleanliness, and the counties making sure that the streets are clean, and therefore these businesses are planned properly. I have seen that the minister in charge of trade can make regulations. The county governments will also make regulations. There are laws already which exist, and there are systems which already exist, but they have not been able to serve the people of Kenya. The street vendors have been mistreated in many counties. Some have even been killed by city askaris or county askaris, rungus, and there's no recourse. Others injured, maimed, and their goods and wares confiscated in a scenario which is totally disappointing. As beginners or poor people, they have no chance in life. There are many, many people who carry goods and sell them on the streets, but they are harassed by the existing laws. And therefore, there was a need to protect and to nurture such businesses into big-time businesses. And this law will serve such so that you can have organized street vending. Already there is sometimes they organize, in the car parks, selling of African regalia, kitenges, and all that, Maasai beads. It comes periodically. It doesn't have a certain law. It is even better when certain streets are gazetted and preserved for this trade and in an organized manner, and the young people will self-employ themselves. If you work hard, you will definitely get into success. But unfortunately, when there is taxation at national level and taxation at county level, or levies of all manner, then whatever little these people are able to collect daily, it's just quite a big, huge chunk is taken away. There's nothing wrong with taxation, either at county level or at national level. But the problem is, do those levies make your life better at the county level? Do those levies make your life better at the national level? Therefore, a street vendor comes with taxation, but the taxation has to be reasonable. It should not be such a way that to kill those businesses. And then, more importantly, if these street vendors are organized in circles, in cooperatives, it becomes better. They should be able to make savings so that they can grow their businesses. When I was a secretary of cooperatives, there were organized street cooperatives, circles, and one of the most successful one was with the mechanics in Kisumu. And every day, everybody who has been trying to make a living the whole day will make a saving in the evening. And that kitty was so big that they could borrow money there and improve their businesses. Borrow money there and come up with something reasonable. I am aware that the cooperative bank has a system of loaning mama bogas. So they are given the money